You can put something under it. Although I gave another lecture like that there. Yeah, it should not slip though in the middle. Okay. It should be okay. Yeah. Yes, somebody already has signed also, but Om Sahanavavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhetamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Vang me manasi pratisthita mano me vachi pratishthitam avirāvirmayedhi vedasya ma'anistha shrutam me ma prahasi anenadhite nahuratran sandadhami ritam vadishyami satyam vadishyami tanmamavatu tadvaktaramavatu avatu mam avatu vaktaram. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So welcome, dear friends, for this special lecture for the devotees from Colorado. And after a lot of back and forth, we decided that this will be the best medium for all of them to join, to listen, and so forth. So let us wait for a minute. Let everybody join. I will just run to my room. I have some questions given by them, and let me get that paper quickly. So then we can quickly begin. That paper should have been here. Let's see. Anyway. Oh, yeah, correct. So, dear friends, actually, the paper was right here, and I thought I forgot it in the room. So, uh, and the topic that I selected, because this is an introductory class, and so uh, it is uh, just a general topic, really, about what is Vedanta and how one can practicalize it in life. Although the title is Practical Vedanta, I would begin with what is Vedanta? That Vedanta, the word many of you, of course, are familiar. Those who have been already listening to the lectures at Vedanta Society, they need no introduction for this word. But then uh, there are some who would do to have some uh, understanding about it. And this word, Veda and Anta, the two words are combined to get this word Vedanta. So, Veda means knowledge. Any knowledge gets considered as Veda, but specifically that knowledge which is not coming from our senses or our mind or intellect. No, as a knowledge that is beyond our sense organs and intellect. So that knowledge, therefore, is specifically called the Vedas. And the culmination of that is the Vedanta, where this ultimate knowledge finds its culmination, where by the very nature of it, the distinction between knower and known that gets obliterated, and so it reaches the ultimate unity where thought reaches its end, where all our queries get their fully satisfactory and ultimate answers. Our life becomes free from all doubts, free from all bondages and sufferings. And therefore, this is called the ultimate knowledge. There is another meaning also associated with it, and that is the word Veda denotes the scriptures, the most sacred scriptures of Hindus, because they speak about this. They speak about the purpose of human life and so forth, and how should one go about it. This is about this is called Shruti also. Shruti means the sages who have transcended the boundaries of senses and intellect, they, out of their revelation and also out of their compassion for us, have shared this vision and ways to get there. And so, Vedas is that wisdom. It is divided, broadly speaking, in two parts. One deals with satisfaction of our so many desires, and for that, the works that we do. Technically, it gets called karma kanda, that we do certain actions to fulfill certain desires. Like, for example, I am looking at a job that will give me better salaries and better other opportunities. It will have less work and something that I will like to do. So I look for the another job. So this is a work that I do propelled by the desire. So I want to go somewhere to, see, tour various different places. Of course, in this present coronavirus lockdown, it's not possible, but otherwise, we get this desire, and then based on that desire, it propels us to undertake journey, to undergo trouble. Many times we have the desire to perform adventures, very commonly seen. Somehow, although we don't want to take risk, and yet adventure basically means taking risk, and that also gives joy to us. It is an interesting psychological aspect to think about, that it is we like adventures, and so we do all that effort or put in a lot of work to go somewhere for skiing or climbing the Mount Rainier and other K2 and all such expeditions, and we take up out of our desire for adventures. So this is the our desires propel us to do work, and thus that forms a part of the Vedas, rather the big part. But then at some point in life, a person starts pondering about ultimately what is the purpose of life, what is the truth, where shall I find the ultimate satisfaction, uh, who am I after all, and how am I connected with this world? What happens when this life ends? Then what remains? What is changing in my perception and what remains unchanged? All these various questions. Who has, after all, made this universe and why? Mm, That again is one of the ultimate questions. And Vedanta, which is actually a very small percent of the Vedic literature, just about 4%. So it tackles these questions and finds out the ultimate answers to them for those. And here is a catch, friends. Those who are just cursorily, superficially thinking of these questions, they will not find the satisfactory answers here. But those who have become really eager to solve these very important questions of life, those who have tremendous yearning for this, those people, they get the answers for this. So therefore, this is one of the conditions given in Vedanta, that we must have the intense desire to get liberated. The Sanskrit word for that is mumuksha. So those who are mumukshus, uh, intensely desirous of getting the liberation from all this, chasing various desires, they come to know, if you examine your experiences, then you will see that you had been actually chasing horizon, and thus running after it. You have now, for a life long or for many many lives, and now you have come to see that that is not the solution, and therefore these fundamental questions become uh, most important. I want to get liberated by the knowledge that who am I? All the bondages that I feel. And friends, as you know, nobody likes to be in bondage. We all like freedom. These days, in most places, there is all lockdown. People are not able to go out much. They are not allowed to do this and that. And so they are feeling more bondage, and therefore they want to break it out. Many who want to do it legitimately, they keep on asking, hey, how long is it going to last? Mm. Those who do not care about the legalities, they anyway start breaking those barriers. There are some uh, who uh, feel that this is all unjust. They have started already protests in America. So, what I mean is, this is all our desire for freedom. But then, gradually, one understands, and that is really a turning point. The most important desire that we should get liberated from is that ego. The ego that is really my bondage. And thus, it is the ego has to be transcended. Ego has to be overcome. This little I and world, that kind of barrier is really keeping me confined within this body. This taking the body, I can go and trot all over the globe, but still I am bound with my physical bodily awareness. So, this is, friends, the understanding that one comes to, and then there the Vedanta becomes meaningless to that person. So, there are actually these discussions come at the end of the Vedic literature, the last part, and therefore that also is meaning of Vedanta. They are called Upanishads. There are many Upanishads. uh, about 10 or 11 are considered prominent because Acharya Shankara wrote great commentaries on them to make the main thesis of those Upanishads understandable. And therefore, these Upanishads are studied more than others. Their number, some people say, is 108 total, some say many more, whatever it may be. But these begin with such questions. For example, let me quote from Kena Upanishad. Kena means by whom? And that is how the Upanishad begins. That by whom? Kene shitam patati preshitam manha kena pranaha. That it is by whom this mind goes to see the things. Who has started this engine called life force? And then how they, for whom these eyes see, for whom the ears hear? Because one gets to see through some penetrative, analysis, that our body, our mind, these are our instruments. They are not I. Somebody is using those instruments. And all instruments are operated by something else, somebody else, for the benefit of that person. So, just for example, the computers that you are using right now, computers or some such thing that you are using right now, how uh, they have, some hardware, some software, they have the input devices, the output devices connected to them, all this is like our person, this our body and mind. They are like this hardware and software. Mm. Also, we have the input devices like our sensory organs, and they are the input devices. For your computer, you have, say, a microphone, a camera, keyboard, and such things as the input devices. Mm. So, soon with the development further of artificial intelligence, your computer can even sense the smell and the taste too. So it is. Uh, so these are the input devices for the computer. Like we have the input devices of our sense organs. Also, we have what is called the output devices. Like your computer has output devices. They are, for example, a printer and a speaker and such things. They are the output devices. So it is the our we have the organs of actions. Just as we have the sensory organs, we have motor organs. Like our legs are used for walking, hands are used for doing various other works, and so forth. So these are there are the five organs of action, five organs of sense, the sensory inputs. So now there must be somebody who is using all this equipment. And the question is about who is that fellow? I want knowledge of that fellow who is user of this. So this is how this Kena Upanishad begins. A great question, friends. I'm not going to discuss the answer right now because this is just an introductory this class giving us a general overview of what kind of questions and problems are presented in Vedanta. There is another Upanishad, Kathopanishad, one of the most popular one. And then it asks this question that what survives after death, and that which is changeless and therefore does not get affected by the changes in the body, which culminate in the death of the body. So there is something that does not die. What is that? So, a very interesting and elaborately discussed question. That is uh, another Upanishad, and you will see all these Upanishads, they have been very beautifully, succinctly summed up in what is the most popular scripture of Hindus, Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is a condensation and a full assimilation of this message of Upanishads. So it gives us that same message, but in a much simpler and easily understandable way. It can Bhagavad Gita can connect more easily to our day-to-day life than the Upanishads, and therefore it is more important. Now, the Upanishads, they, and many of you must have read about that, they give the conclusions that, well, you are ever free, ever perfect Atman. Mm, that you are the all pervading, immortal uh, reality. It is you are not confined to body, you are birthless, deathless. And So, this conclusion one can understand. Intellectually, friends, if you go in that direction, it is not very difficult to get to this conclusion. But it does not really end there. In fact, it is the beginning that now how to experience it. Vedanta is not just the understanding by intellect. In fact, that is a very small, minor part of it. It requires just a common sense, friends. It is not a rocket science that you need to be very intelligent to understand all these things. Absolutely not. Just common sense, a common logic is enough. So, this common logic is to be used for this purpose. And so, we have to see this that it has to be experienced. How to experience it? So, here comes the question of practicality, friends. And most part of the Upanishads and Bhagavad Gita, they deal with making it uh, an experiential science. It is a practical science that each one of us can experience if we follow the proper method. Everything needs following a proper method. Even when you want to say cook some very nice dish, you have to have a proper method. You have to get the recipe, get the right ingredients, mix them in the proper way, cook them. All that procedure has to be followed meticulously. So, uh, to how to experience this? Is there a way to actually experience this? Some people, especially those who study Upanishads only in the academic sense, they may be very brilliant people. In fact, they are. They write many books about the Upanishads. They can become PhDs. They can become professors teaching these Upanishads in universities. But that is not actually the purpose of Upanishads. Mm. It is the purpose is to see that how that which I intellectually understand, that which I can elaborately discuss, how can I realize it? So that is the practical side of it. It is, friends, very easy to give a lecture on Vedanta, but to experience the truths mentioned there is a different ball game. It requires a lifelong dedicated practice, friends, to bring those truths to the level of our experience. So, uh, and that part of this Upanishadic uh, practical training gets called as yoga. Hmm. Yoga, you hear this word very often, and unfortunately, in America and even in India too, people understand some physical postures and some such things by this word, uh, uh, yoga. It is a physical exercise. Nothing wrong in that. That is good. One should, of course, do the physical exercises, keep the body fit. But that is only a very small fraction of this whole science of Vedas. This yoga is that part of Vedanta where all that you understand gets practically experienced. You may study a book on, say, how to play piano. You may be able to read that book, say, in a couple of hours. But that doesn't make you an expert pianist. You need actually to keep on practicing under a teacher who knows those skills and how to impart those, and practice. And after a lot of practice, you start getting some handle on it. But still, to become an expert pianist, a world renowned pianist, you have to practice a lot. So, as similarly, friends, in any field, you see understanding, and practicalization. This gap has to be filled, and this gap, in connection with this understanding of who am I, and to actualize that understanding, that gets called as yoga. And it is actually bringing the various changes in our life, our lifestyle, that is all geared to this ignorance of this ultimate truth, that has to change so that it can reflect, friends, the knowledge. So, and all our faculties, therefore, are to be tuned to that. And many of you, they who has studied the science of, say, pedagogy, they know that human beings have these three main faculties, as they say, head, heart, and hands. Means the faculty to understand, the faculty to feel, and the faculty to work. And all these faculties are to be trained now, uh, so that they will become now the instruments of our moving towards this ultimate experience of who am I. One can call it also the experience of the God, the ultimate reality. And whatever, the same idea can be expressed in various different words. But let us see this, that these three faculties need to be turned towards this goal of life. And so they have got these three names. The one is where your faculty to work is acted upon to change it, and that is called yoga of action, karma yoga. Mm. And then one has to, of course, train our emotions too, which is very important because although we call ourselves intellectuals, most of our life gets led under the force of emotions. We go by likes and dislikes, not always thinking about it. It is, I like it. Why do I do it? Because I like it. That is a reason enough for many people. And we do not go and eat ice cream for the after giving it a great thought that its nutritional contents are going to help me. I take it simply because I love it. I like it. That's it. So our life is guided by emotions, and these emotions, therefore, uh, become very important. They become cause of our bondage. because emotionally we get attracted towards something and then we get caught there. So, to free us from that, again, let us use emotion. Let these emotions, or in a more familiar word, let us call it love, turn our love not to the fleeting objects of the world, mm, fleeting objects or changing personalities. No, you can't really love that. You may get attracted to that, understand, but then it doesn't, because the object changes, the person changes. And so, once upon a time, you liked the person, but then that liking goes away after some time. One lady was telling that, well, she said now honeymoon is over long back. So it is not that now there is not that kind of attraction. One goes to have attractive things, but then the attraction wanes. You can see it with children very quickly. They don't have pretensions. So they really cry to get a toy. They want it. I want it, and then they bring roof down for that. And but when they get it, maybe they will plague with it for half an hour or a day, and then the attraction goes gone. So what happens is the attraction is gone, the bondage remains. Mm. So now we get therefore question, whom should I keep on loving? And that is the self. That is your true self, your innermost being. You can call it for convenience God. Love God. And thus, that kind of loving God is called bhakti or devotion. So, this is the yoga of bhakti yoga. And then there is the yoga of, turning our intellect, head. Mhm. What its function is, discernment, that to analyze and see if this thing is real or not real, if this thing is changing or unchanging, is this permanent or impermanent, is this conducive to my good, my welfare, or is it just as temporary, momentary emotion that is dragging me there. So, uh, the sum of all that is discussed in Kathopanishad in two very beautiful words, Shreya and Preya. Mm. That Shreya means the faculty with which we see that see this thing to be conducive for my well-being. This is the right thing to do. And this is the following the truth. This is the following the path of truth. This is what I should do, whether I like it or I don't like it is not a consideration at all. If I like it, fine. If I don't like it, that also is fine. I am going to do it nevertheless. It is, and this is a habit that needs to be developed. Our intellect is, otherwise, it becomes slave to likes and dislikes. Mm. So, therefore, the yoga of intellect, or what is called jnana yoga, is to practice this discernment, and gradually it becomes then a habit with us, that we discern and see if that is a permanent or impermanent. Because that is the criterion for real or unreal. If something is impermanent, then it is like an appearance. It comes and goes. It's not real. And therefore, uh, that which is permanent, we should see that is the reality. And thus put our mind into that. So it is like our investment. If you have, say, millions, would you knowingly put it in that stock which is going to become zero tomorrow? You won't. It is similarly in these things in the world. If we invest ourselves, they come and they go. So let us invest in something that never goes. Mm. It is the idea that is very commonly alluded to as the Jnana Yoga, the yoga of discernment. See what is right, see what is permanent, and thus uh, it is very important that we guide our intellect in that direction. Otherwise, our intellect gets wasted in so many useless things. Whether there is a life on some planet revolving around some other star a billion years away, a billion light years away. So that is okay. Suppose you find the answers to that. How does it change your life? Mhm. So that is where Shankaracharya told that look, there is this kind of intellect which knows many things, but do they really bring more lasting joy in our life? Does it change our priorities to move in the direction of ultimate liberation? Uh, Otherwise, what is the difference? Like he gives this example in his Brahma Sutra commentary, Saptadvipa Vasumati. And those days also, people seem to have known that on earth there are these seven continents, Saptadvipa Vasumati. Now just think of it. He says, yeah, instead of seven, had they been six, has your life changed? Or instead of seven, if there are nine, does that affect you? No. It is so it doesn't matter. Like some years back, it was about a decade ago or so, I don't exactly remember. It was decided by some standards and some measurements that Pluto is not really big enough to give it the name a planet. It is not a planet. So it was degraded and was not counted amongst the planets. After some years, it was found no, it still fulfills that criterion, and so therefore it was again re added to the list of planets. Now tell me, by this knowledge, whether Pluto is a planet or is not a planet, did it make any change in Pluto, or did it make any change in our lifestyle? Absolutely nothing. So, what is the point in running after this knowledge? Let us get that knowledge by which our uh, life becomes fulfilled. It fills every moment of our life with eternal bliss. Mm. It answers all the questions uh, all doubts are resolved completely. And also, it brings us the ultimate freedom. So, we become immortal. Mm. This is a very important idea. that we all like to live forever, even though we may not say this. But there is this struggle for existence, as Darwin says. That is how the life is being, looking for the ways to sustain itself. There is this desire there to live. But is there a way to do it? Vedanta says yes, there is a way. Simple way, really, not very difficult. Why it is so simple? Because it is true. See, we identify ourselves with body. Mm. And thus, when the body is born, I am born. When the body dies, I die. Now, if we understand and experience this truth, that this body is just another clothing on me. And just as if one of my shirt is torn, I am not torn. So also if this body is gone, it came, it stayed, it went away. I am not that body. And so I have no death. Because the death was of the body. The birth was also that of body. So, when I am body, then I am born and I die. And when I am not body, then obviously, friends, and there is no birth or death for us. We are eternal. Also, that brings forth another truth, friends, that if we are eternal, time and space do not bind us. I am eternal, I am everywhere. Do you get this point? Intellectually, one can easily understand it. But see, what it means is that one has to experience our all pervading nature. And thus we become free from desires. I am all, so what do I need? And I have no desires. And thus, the desires really, they become an obstruction in our getting the ultimate bliss. The desire, confines us. It tortures us. If I have a desire, then that keeps on, making me uneasy. I lose peace. But when I see I am all that is, I have no desire now. And so my true blissful nature shines forth automatically. I know that I don't have to get happiness. I am happiness. Many these books on this by great sages say that, well, can you imagine an ocean becoming thirsty for water? Impossible. It is because that is ocean is just the huge body of water itself. The water cannot become thirsty. That it is like that. It is the sugar cannot ask to become, let some sweet be added to me. No, sugar is sweet by nature. You don't add something to sugar to make it sweet. So, not even an iota of bliss can ever be added to us because I am bliss, friends. Mm. One has to experience this truth, realize this truth. One has to, and when you get it, then nothing remains to be achieved in life. You reach the ultimate goal of life. And by following these paths of yoga, one realizes it. There is another yoga that Swami Vivekananda has mentioned, and that is the yoga of meditation, concentration, control. It gets called by the name Raja Yoga, learning to concentrate the mind. Uh, it is very important. We have to learn to meditate. It is meditation is learning to concentrate, focus our mind that is scattered all over on that which is our goal of life. So when we succeed in doing that, then we reach a state where we become one with the truth. Our ego gets annihilated. So this is called the state of samadhi, that you gradually learn to concentrate your mind, and thus uh, you have to bring all the propensities that we have cultivated all over, they are all past years and past births also. Those propensities have to be brought under control. They have to be stopped. So it is an alternate the attention to that by which we will be able to realize the ultimate truth. And that will make our life a success story. Everybody wants their life to be a success story. I don't think there is anybody who is listening would say, no, 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 I want my life to be a story of failure. And no, all of us want our life to be a success story. And Vedanta shows how you can practically do it by following this path of yoga. So, friends, this is a very ennobling, a great idea to be studied, to be implemented. It is one has to remember, as the great sage Patanjali and in Bhagavad Gita also it has been mentioned that uh, it takes dedicated, long, relentless practice. Mhm. We think of it one day, forget another day. That doesn't then work. Or we don't have that dedication. All these things need to be, cultivated. And that is how it becomes a long process. We are, eager to get quick results. No, there is no quick results here. It is one has to be ready to keep on practicing for years, for decades, and even for lifetimes. So, therefore, this, but the result is assured, friends. This is the way. There are no shortcuts. It is one has to be doing this. So I am thankful to these Colorado devotees led by Suprabha and also many others who are attending. Suprabha has sent me some questions that already were there, and I will look to those questions. And they're very nice questions. And the first of them is, how do we modify subconscious patterns? Obviously, the person wants to modify them, and that is why the question comes. So it is a very interesting mm, practical idea that when we want to, change something in life in the right direction, at the conscious level, we make an attempt, but there is something disturbing just gets pushed against our will, and then that disturbs everything. Subconscious is really the big part of our total this field of consciousness. There is the conscious and there is the subconscious, means hidden. It is an example commonly given is like the iceberg. The iceberg, as you know, 9/10 of it is underwater, and therefore many ships they get wrecked because they do not see. The story of the Titanic is well known, that it is, you see only a small part on the surface, and you see that that is the only thing. No. Mm, there is much more that is hidden behind it. Now, how to change the patterns there? First of all, we have to know that there are these patterns, and no point in just denying them. There is a tendency, oh, I never see these things. No, well, people deny it. The state of, this denial doesn't help. So, therefore, we have to acknowledge that there is this huge subconscious. And although we don't see it, it holds tremendous power. So, how to do that? First thing is to acknowledge. Second thing is now how to get access to it. Mm. To change the pattern, you need access to it. And that happens through various ways. As I mentioned, the practice of yoga, especially the meditation. With meditation, more and more subconscious comes to the level of conscious, and thus we are able to handle it. Recognizing the patterns, that also becomes then possible. Otherwise, it becomes a guesswork. And it is difficult to guesswork. This is a big topic actually, but we can actually do this through the practice of meditation, karma yoga, bhakti yoga, jnana yoga. All these, gradually make our uh, vision, and for the lack of any better word, I am saying that go into the subconscious, and we become aware of those things, and then we can transform them, and we can change that, and thus gradually we will see the subconscious, uh, more and more of it becomes conscious, and thus tackling it is comparatively easier. So, but one has to have that practice, that go deeper. It is like that. It is like something buried under the ground. You want to take it out. So now you have to get access to it. You have to break the ground and get there. So, and first of all, you have to understand that there is something there. So, that is the first step, to acknowledge the tremendous controlling power that our life has due to subconscious. Our subconscious has tremendous power over us, and thus, acknowledging that, we now make an effort to get there. And this is where this science of yoga and meditation comes into practice. This is a science and technology. So we have to actually practice it. So this is the answer to it. That the next is question: what is the soul's journey after it leaves body? Again, an excellent question. Soul's journey after it leaves body. So already the questioner knows that the body comes and goes, soul takes the body and leaves the body. It is very much like you are getting a car, and after using the car for a good time, when the car is now become old, not usable, very risky, not dependable at all, it takes lot of money to maintain it. So you decide, okay, uh, given up, let me get a new one. Hmm. And so you get a new body. First, you get a new car and then give up the old one. So that you have already, so you have some vehicle to move about. Uh, so there is, you keep this body till you get a new one, and then use that new body. So that is what happens when a soul leaves this body. That okay, what does it mean here? The word soul means, it is our, we have, according to Vedanta, and something that you can easily connect to, is we have three bodies, uh, and the consciousness, the soul. So what are these three bodies? The innermost is the called the causal body. I won't discuss much about it right now. Then there is the subtle body. The subtle body is like the all the information that we have, all the software that we have, and that is this subtle body. And then this gross body is the hardware, the robotics, all that. And so uh, when you leave this hardware, because it has become old, it is very much like when you change your old smartphone to a new one. The old smartphone is now not very useful. It doesn't retain charge. Also, the it has become very, very slow, and does not also get updated to the new programs. I cannot download new apps on that anymore. So now I say, let me buy a new smartphone. But then, when you get the new smartphone, you do not want to lose all those wonderful pictures that you had taken with the old uh, phone. You do not want to lose all the music files or all the other files that you have stored on the old phone, all the contacts that you have on the old phone. So, what do? You transfer all that from the old phone to the new phone. And there are ways of transferring it. One common way is to connect the two phones by wire, or copy all that on the old phone on the computer, and then from the computer get it copied onto your new phone. There are uh, the other smarter ways of doing it, that you do it through Bluetooth, or many other ways could be there. So the essential point is that all your information that you have, that is the subtle body and the causal body. Soul takes this subtle and causal body to the new gross body. So that you all your important thing is transferred to the new device. The body, gross body, is now given up. Its job is done. So you use the now the new body. So this is what happens in most cases. And you get the body according to your desires. Like new phone you buy, oh, I like this one. So let me get that. It is. I also, when about 7, 8 months ago or so, I got a new smartphone. So I thought what I would like to have in that new phone, how much memory I would like, how much hard disk space would I like. Will it be able to carry just one SIM card or two SIM cards and so forth? So I thought about it, and then, according to my desire, I could get one if I have money enough to pay for it. I was thinking of that also. Well, this may be great, but it costs a huge amount. No, 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 not worth. Or I don't even have it. So, therefore, I put a spending limit. Okay, within this amount, I will buy one. So, buying new body also is something very similar, according to your desires, but there is the bar of how much you can spend on it. So, what is this spending? This is what is called all the good actions that you have performed. Good actions in the sense unselfish actions. Just as in the world, you get paid when you work for others. Mm. If you are, just cooking for yourself, nobody comes to pay you. But if you are, say, working as a chef in a restaurant, then of course, well, you will get paid for that because you are doing it for others. So, others, when you work for them, you get paid. Here also, when you do unselfish work, uh, then you accumulate good karma. And then otherwise, you just spend. By selfish karma, selfish actions, you spend it. The merit is spent. And by doing the unselfish actions, you earn. So when you have to get a new body, this karma cash, and that serves the purpose. You cannot just give, I have $5,000 that cannot buy you. Its currency value is gone when you leave this body. So it is thus very important. And then suppose all my desires are over. I don't have any desire. Just I want to hold on to God. Then you don't have to be reborn. You break this terrible cycle of birth and death and become liberated. Mm. In 8th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, there is a very nice discussion on it, that how one gets the body, what kind of body. And if you are thinking, at the time of death, if you are thinking about God and God alone, then you become one with God. You don't need to be born again and go through all this, whatever you may call it, all this suffering, this cycle again and again. So that is what happens when the soul gives up or leaves the body. The third question that is here is, uh, I want to learn about karma. So, karma, I don't know exactly what the questioner means, but I take it as a general understanding that we do work karma. Now, every karma, every action ends up in getting in having to take the result of that action. It is you did something, it produced its results, action and its results. So you take both of these, and that result becomes another karma, another action. So you continue with that. You have to, I mean, there is no escape. So you keep on thus getting bound by actions. One action leads to another action. That action leads to another action. And then they are again, as I mentioned earlier, propelled by one's desires. So one desire leads to another desire. That means not just one desire leads to many other desires, and each of them, this is like this exponential function. So keep on increasing, doubling every now and then. So it is that is how we get caught bound. Now this karma, if done properly, can become the means for liberation from it. So, this is how, when the karma is done in the right way, and Bhagavad Gita gives a very good analysis and methodology for its practice. Mm. In the second chapter, there is this verse about it, that karmanyevadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana Ma karma phala heturbhu mate sangostu akarmani. That it says that, look, you have the right to do your work. Whatever is work that has come to you, do it, but do not hanker for any rewards from that. That is the secret. Mm. Then that work will not produce another work for you. The more we understand and practice this, that work without any selfish motive tied to it, and that work becomes then a karma yoga, because we do not have any right to the results of any action. We falsely claim the right, but that is not according to the our if you look at the facts, there are so many factors that contributed to the result, and so you alone cannot claim that your activity alone was responsible for it. So you have the right to do your part. Don't aspire or expect any credit for that. And you can see, that how difficult it is. Even the allocated work that we have to do, there also we keep on thinking, what incentive do I have for this? Mm. And thus we get bound by it. More intensives are, dangled before us to make us work more and more and more. So, friends, thus you can see that if we do not hanker after the work, then we break this bondage, this vicious cycle. And therefore, it is said in the third part of this verse that do not become the cause of getting bound by more and more results. Ma karma phala heturbhu. And with Hearing all this, one may get the idea, do the works without aspiring for the results. Instead, and let me not do work at all. That seems to be easier. Just don't do any work. What happens? God, Lord Krishna, sees this kind of tendency and therefore warns, do not get addicted to laziness. And not doing the work is not a choice at all, it is not an option. Either you do it in the right way, that will liberate you, or in the wrong way, that will further tighten the bondage, tighten the noose around you. So do not get the thought that I will then not do any work. So, friends, this is something about karma, and I am also looking at the clock. I think it is now uh, more than 9:15. But still, if somebody has a question that needs to be asked, we can prolong it by another 5 minutes or so. Do you have any other question? Please type it. Uh,
There is one question already by chance.
oh, where is the question?
It says Swamiji says to have faith in oneself. How do we build self confidence?
Yes, there is this question, how to build self confidence. A very important thing, that it is that self confidence has to be built up. How to build that? By doing the work. What that is the great advantage of work. When you do work, like see, one feels inhibition or hesitant about doing something, loss of confidence. Can I do it? Like, well, this I have to do this account. Can I do it? Oh, I cannot do it. It is so difficult. I have never done it in my life. But do it. Once you may fail, but you will learn from that failure. Do it again. You will learn more. And while doing it, the work gets done is another thing. But more important thing is our self-confidence get built up. That yes, I can do it. It is the belief in self is what Swami Vivekananda therefore calls that it is the believing in God. He used to say, and that is a great quote that I love always, that the old religion would say that not believing this God or that God is being an atheist. But I say unto you that if you do not believe in yourself, then you are an atheist. Believe in yourself. That is the reality that you can never deny, can never reject. So that is how one has to really build our life on that self confidence. Have confidence, and then you will win the world. This is the key, friends. That okay, why can I not do it? I can do it. So be confident. This session, as Suprabha had told me, that is the an introduction of having a group. It is one question. Desire means coronavirus. It is not question. It is a comment from my beloved monastic friend Madhu Maharaj. Yeah. So thank you, Madhu. That's correct. It is coronavirus. It eats up our life. Very good. Yeah. So I was informed that this is
There is one more question.
an introduction to the starting of the Vedanta group in Colorado. And we shall see how From this, we can have a group, because group becomes important. We can then exchange our ideas, we can build our thoughts, and build our life on the basis of that. So let us look forward to that. And my heartfelt thanks to everybody. Oh, Shrikant is saying there is one more question.
Yeah, how do I like to be told, I guess, in the Upanishads every moment? What should I do if I falter or lose this path?
Oh, well, if you lose, if you falter, that is nothing wrong, you know. I have not seen a little child ever walking, learning to walk without falling. The child has to fall so that the sensors in the feet, they get trained, and thus the brain gets now the balance. So if I falter, then I know that I have faltered, means I also know what I right I should do. It doesn't matter, you know. We will be able to correct it. It is absolutely necessary that we falter also. Not that we have to deliberately falter, but when we falter, we learn, and learn to do the things better. Uh, it is who sent there is a comment. I sent a question. You don't see, huh?
Mm, yeah. Then there's another question now, how to maintain focus in spite of fears and distractions.
Oh, well, it is fears and distractions will always be there, but that is why we should learn to be focused. How to do it? We do it all the time. Whatever we feel very urgently needs to be done, then all our attention comes there. I remember one incident when I realized that I have to catch the train uh, in another hour or so, and my residence was at least 45 minutes away from the train station. I thought the train is tomorrow, but I saw, oh, it is now, today. And I had uh, just 10 to 15 minutes to pack everything, get ready, and then uh, get driven to the train station. I became so focused. I was not listening to anything else. I was just packing my bag fast. And otherwise, I would have, required 2 days for packing. And that again, I would have forgotten this thing and that thing. But now the mind became so focused that everything was done perfectly well. I caught the train just a minute before it left. But what I mean is that if you have an urgency, if you know that you have to do it, the focus gets developed. Well, these disturbances, the family problems, the problems due to some social things, problems due to disease, they will come. They are part of our life, Do not pay attention to that. One important thing that I have told to many people, do not keep on again and again reading the same news about what it is enough. We have heard enough. Maybe you can spend just 10 minutes every day for that, forget it. That will stop disturbing your mind more, more and more, isn't it? Let us not bring more disturbance to our lives. Then you will see that within in this world we will be able to do all those things. So friends, it is time. I know you have many other things to do. Swami, well, is has nothing much to do in life, just to keep on discussing these things. But I am conscious that you all have a lot of things to do. So, my namaskars to you all, and thank you all for your attendance for this, your beautiful question answers, and thank you. Bye for now. Hmm?